Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Well, good morning, Mr. Lapointe and Nyla and Monica. Thank you for being with us this morning. We'd like to visit with you first. We're happy that you're here and to have a continuation of some of our discussions. I believe we sent you some further outreach. Did you want to join us at the table?
Morning again.
Good
It's always an
morning.
honor to speak before you.
Well, good to see you. Thanks for making the trip down. From what I recall, the last time we met, there was some good dialogue we had. We tried to sort some things out, and then from there we had some follow-up actions, and we were a little, I guess, surprised to see some of the things that we thought were in motion kind of have a little stumble. So we resent you some further information. I believe that we have advertised that policy in the WIN to satisfy, and just wondering where we're at on those items.
On the policy, did you send that for our approval, or I can't recall what we needed to do with that.
Well, when you were here, we had spoke with Big Fire, and Andy had said by publishing the minutes that we had met the requirement. But then after that, we got outreach that said, no, we did not meet the requirement. So we said, all right, fine then. And then we published them for the second time. And so
I don't know if we do a follow-up, Nyla, on that?
and so then
need
we
to do a follow-up
sent
then.
a letter to you with a little bit of frustration on how the follow-up was inconsistent with what you had verbally committed to us.
Okay, we'll respond in writing to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
That was the thing at the top of my mind, was those leases and the advertisement of that policy. Is there anything the council had? I know, Lorelei, we had been talking about the code revision, and we wanted to talk specifically with Nyla about that. There was some opportunity that we kind of been kicking the can for probably 2 years with our code revision, and we've been doing it on very kind of as needed, reactive rather than proactive. And for 2 years, the council has been trying to just sit down and do that, and it's a much larger project than I think anybody anticipated or that anybody in-house has the time to do.
And that was brought up to me before this meeting started, and I think we have a couple ideas maybe on how to address that. First of all, we need to get law enforcement involved, because I know they have some law enforcement codes that are probably impacted.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we can bring maybe contract that work out, we should have some funding available to do that. I'm not sure how much that would be, but we probably need to figure out some numbers. And
So some of the research that we had done, we had identified some funds under Tricia Tingle's program,
right.
and that's under the courts, right?
Yeah, that's in OJS side. The courts, law enforcement are together.
And so would your office be able to help us in that relationship building?
Certainly can. I work with OJS. They've hired a new special agent in charge now for District 1. He's only been on board a couple of weeks. J.R. Burge is his name, and I haven't
How's
met
he spell that?
a B-U-R-G-E, I believe.
Okay.
J.R. Burge. I've spoken with him, but I haven't met with him personally, so that's something I need to do, and I can certainly follow up after this meeting with him this week. I'll be back in Aberdeen. I've just been traveling so much over the last 2 months, and I do apologize for not coming back on April. I think I said April 28th I intended to come back, but it has been a crazy spring for my travel. After not traveling much at all for 2 years, it's all been coming at once, so. But I'm happy to be here today. I'll meet with Mr. Burge. We'll bring that up. We'll see if we can find some funding to maybe contract that out if that's what this council wants to do. I will need something in writing, and of course, resolution eventually if we get to that point. But if you can send me something in writing, how much you anticipate the work is going to cost, then we'll look at finding the funding. And I'll meet with Ms. Tingle too, and because I know that they have some funding available.
Some of our contacts had shared with us some of the other projects that had been, I guess, done in other tribes, and I guess no disrespect, but they called it like her slush fund. Like she has this pot of money that she can do whatever she wants with. And so I'm really interested in that pot of money and how we could make good use of that for our code.
Well, this is one of the main things that I hear in meeting with tribes. If law enforcement is receiving additional funds, where's it going? And so that's something that actually was brought up with Brian Newland at a meeting I was at Pine Ridge. And so they're looking at what they can do with those law enforcement funds if they're not getting down to the tribes. And so that has been it's been a nationwide issue, and not just at Pine Ridge, not just here, but so hopefully that will generate some sort of movement of the funds. But you're right, there are funds available, and I'm not sure exactly if she's going to ask for an application, if she has a specific process for doing that. But if we provide the information, I think we can certainly justify the funding.
Okay, so that's helpful. Just learning from some other tribes and hearing how they proceeded. I'm just hoping to use some of that same language that they've been successful in.
And we'll be able to pull some of that information too. So whatever we have and whatever law enforcement has, I think we can make a very good application if that's what's required.
Okay, thank you. The floor is open for the council if there's anything else you want to bring up. We didn't prepare a specific agenda for this person meeting. It was more like a follow-up from our last discussion.
I'm sorry I didn't answer on this policy, and we will follow up on that, and that'll be one of the main things I do. I'll do that today before I leave. We'll address that. And then one of the main items that we discussed before was the Arpa funding. And so I think we got all that funding out within just a few days after I was here. So I think we're good on the funding as far as I know.
Were our budgets approved?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
They were
And
just sitting there.
I think we actually had some training. We had some follow-up training too. We brought staff for some training. So I think we're much better shape on the 638 funding side of things. So.
Well, we appreciate that. We were really anxious and a little disturbed about that, but we're feeling cashy and cool now, so thank you. So anything else anyone like to bring up?
I
Laura?
did. I was unaware until just before the meeting and talking with Timothy and Nyla that our request to get the 2022 BIA law enforcement budget has to come from the OJS, not the regional director. And I just now learned that.
I will follow up on that. And what we normally do for, when I meet with the Great Plains Tribal Chairman Association, which this tribe is a part of, I don't know if you've been to any of those meetings or not, but.
Well, I'll let Lorelai finish her point, and then that you bring something else by.
Okay. But at those meetings, we prepare for the next year's budget, actually 2 years out. And so we provide the region-wide budget at those meetings, but I can provide that to you, so they will show all the funding region-wide.
But what we want is what our BIA, Winnebago BIA law enforcement, is operating under that budget. That's specifically what we need,
Okay.
not the regional.
Not the budget, okay.
No. And we want it to include what positions that are funded but are sitting vacant. We want the total budget of what we're funded for to operate our BIA law enforcement to operate here in Winnebago. And the reason why we want that is we want to consider a 638 contract of our law enforcement. But we want to know what the BIA is funded for, BIA law enforcement is funded for before moving forward.
Okay. I will make sure you get that.
Okay, thank you.
Will you be attending the self-governance conference in California this August?
I haven't made plans to attend at this point.
Okay.
I may. So.
How many, I guess that's an OGS question. I was going to ask, how many self-governance law enforcement programs are there in the Great Plains? Would you happen to know?
I don't know offhand.
Okay.
I'll get that information to you.
That'd be a good one to go to.
So that self-governance conference, they kind of break it up in two parts. the first, well, I don't know which comes first or second, but they have all the or not IHS, all the HHS programs and things, and then the latter part is all the Department of Interior programs. So we really encourage everybody to think about that and look at your calendars for August.
Yeah, now if you're talking self-governance, there are no compacted tribes in Great Plains. So,
For law enforcement.
well, yeah, for law enforcement, for any other program. So, I mean, there's specific contracts, but not a self-governance contract.
Okay, good to know. You mentioned the Great Plains Chairman's Association. This is something that's come up a lot more recently. As you know, we've got the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Association, and you have the Great Plains Tribal Leaders Health Board.
Yep.
And Geraldine runs the health board, and Gay runs the Chairman's Association. And it's a very difficult thing, and I really don't know where to take the conversation. I would think I'm going to have to write a letter to, I don't know, I guess to the Interior, because the scheduling of these meetings does not allow for full participation, and Chairman's Association will schedule a meeting on top of the health board meeting, and they're both from Rapid City, out of Rapid City, and the politics that exist there are besides me and none of my business, but it affects our tribe's ability to participate in some of those meetings that, as you know, happen in Rapid City.
Right.
And you have a split of tribal leaders, the ones that are kind of motivated to attend the chairman's meeting and the ones that make their business with the health topics. So you haven't seen me at those meetings because I go to the health board meetings, and it's very difficult when these administrators are scheduling on top of each other. So I would ask for your help on don't go then, or say that isn't there a health board meeting? Because if Chairman Frazier keeps doing that, it goes the way Chairman Frazier wants that meeting to go. So that's something that came up actually just this past week, meeting with some of the folks from the health board. And some of the things that we need to accomplish on the Chairman's Association side. So I just want to raise that, and if there's any way that you can be helpful in how we facilitate that for everyone.
I'll bring it up with Gay Kingman, the executive director. So.
And, you know, those two gals are just highly respected and have a lot of experience. And it just seems like a really simple thing that they wouldn't schedule their meetings on top of each other in the same town with the same participants. It's kind of unproductive.
Understood.
But
And
it seems also like on purpose, you know.
I'll encourage separate times, dates.
And if anything, like back to back, you know, like I don't want to drive up to Rapid City 2 times every quarter. It just makes sense logistically for folks like Meskwaki and you know, North Dakota is very inactive in those meetings because of some of that same dynamic.
Yeah.
So if you go to those meetings, it's South Dakota. That's who's at that meeting. So I need your help with that.
Okay, I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess I say that because Winnebago really, I believe, holds their own, but we're the minority amongst our area. And so we work extra hard, I think, to be fully present and participate.
Yeah, well, I would encourage you to attend. Let's find some way to attend.
Or also I invite my colleagues, you know, we could split forces, but it's really tough to travel and with everyone's schedule, so, but we'll work towards that.
We're still waiting on our lease, right, Nyla?
Yep.
From GSA, they haven't.
Yeah.
It's taking them forever.
Yeah, it's getting closer though, because it's in the system of GSA and 22% liquids, sorry,
Yeah.
last week.
Well, Nyla, can you step up to the mic so Louis can hear you?
I'm sorry. Last week, I sent an email to Nick Sarangeno and to give us an update on the GSA lease, and he said it's currently with GSA in the system and they're waiting for it to be approved. And once that's approved.
I can't hear Nyla.
Oh,
I can't hear you.
oh, I'm sorry, Louis. I'm sorry.
Look, Even closer.
Okay. That GSA lease, it's in the system and we're just waiting for them to approve, the lease. So we're getting a lot closer than we were 3 months ago, so that's a good thing.
Thank you, Nyla, for providing that update. Louis or Brian on the line, do you guys have any questions or topics that of concern or praise that you may have thought of?
No.
Well, thank you. I just want to praise you guys for coming back to work on our relationship and just to try to push these tasks and action items along each month, and knowing that sometimes you're waiting for another layer of approval. And I think the more we understand who's all involved, we can better understand that that it's in motion.
Thank you again. We appreciate it. Anytime you need.
I have a comment.
I was wrapping it up, and we got comments up. I said, go ahead, Louis, and then we'll come back to Isaac.
He won't let you go.
I think we have to compact the BIA law enforcement. What's happening now isn't working. We've got to put together a model that will work. And we got to be honest with each other. Come up with a working model. And a lot at stake. We're talking about making changes in our court system. We can make those changes, but if law enforcement doesn't follow through, it just uses us to make changes that won't go into effect. So I just want to make sure the BIA understood that. That's where I'm going. I want the best law enforcement system in Indian country. We can achieve it if we agree to work together for a common goal. Thank you.
Those are some very good points, and we definitely want to do our part to help out on that, and I think we have a plan moving forward to maybe provide some assistance. And then Mr. Smith also brought up some good points on some of the emergency response times, and we'll be looking to see what we can do to help out on that end too.
Thank you. Isaac?
And so, Tim, while we got you here, I know you're a busy guy. What have you seen in Indian country as far as jails being built on reservations? Like, far as what's the process and how does that work? Have other tribes done that, and what other ones have done that, and how did they do that?
So 2 right now that are active. One at Sisseton, and we actually had to condemn one of their buildings, and that kind of set everything in motion for a new correctional facility. And then one at Turtle Mountain, and similar situation. We didn't condemn, but it needed a replacement. So you have to document the need. And I know that, I've seen that building. I've walked through the building that you're talking about, or seen where it's located. So I think if you show that the need, then we can advocate for a new facility.
So what we were looking at, and I can't speak for all the council, but I just wanted to take advantage of the time you've been here. So I keep hearing about different tribes have done this and done that, and one of the things that come up is saying that some of the tribes built a correctional facility, and then had the BIA come in and staff it. Is any of that true? That you know?
Well, it's possible, because then you can do the 105L lease. That's if you have contracted staff in the building, you can charge us the rent for those staff, and maybe that's what you're referencing,
Okay.
because that is a possibility, and it's a 105L lease. And one of the things that I've asked central office to do because we're not completely up to speed on that process. What I want to do and what I'm looking at before the end of the summer is actually bringing staff in from central office and doing a training in Aberdeen or maybe a more centralized location where we can bring tribal staff in and go through the 105L lease, and then where there's a lot of new council members across Great Plains, and then maybe do an orientation on whatever other issues that tribes may want to talk about.
You just gave me a good thought, an idea. Thank you for thinking ahead and trying to bring some of that self-governance subject matter expertise to our area, because the council, as the council knows, the Great Plains is the area within Indian country that is the least active in self-governance, and Winnebago is the first tribe in the whole Great Plains to compact a hospital. Spirit Lake was the first one to contract their clinic. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we're young and we're a little green in self-governance, and there's some areas within the country that are just real slick and aggressive, even very aggressive. I was just up visiting Mr. Ron Allen, and he was this Class A host, and just really took care of our work group up there. But you see what self-governance can do for a tribe, and we really want that for law enforcement, and we see the improvements that can be made and the gaps in our services. But with that, do you think that there would be funds to sponsor contingencies from each tribe to attend the self-governance conference in California? Because that's where all the information is going to be, and they haven't met in 2 years either. But the thing is, what I hear from my colleagues, especially in the Great Plains, is that they can't afford to travel to all these conferences. And so who's at all these meetings are the tribes that have resources to travel, and they're at every table, and they get favor, and they get they know what's coming down the pipeline. So there's a real advantage to having the technical assistance and even the legal guidance to attend some of these meetings and actively participate. And so Winnebago is really blessed in that way, that we've been able to go to a lot of these meetings. But what I don't see is anybody else there from the Great Plains. So will you think about that?
Yeah,
And
we can fund, if you want to submit a request, or any other tribe in Great Plains, we'll look at funding the travel.
And we'll send one or two, but it would be amazing if I could get the majority or who has had a willingness to attend.
And one of the things, and if you look at just the Hearth Act, and trying to get tribes to pass the Hearth Act where you can approve your own leases, the one thing that I've heard back repeatedly is that's the Bureau's job to do. You have an fiduciary obligation, trust obligation. You have to do that. We're not going to pick up that work. And that applies across the board to a lot of other issues too. When it comes to self-governance, there's this thought out there in Great Plains that it's the Bureau's job to do, and I would encourage self-governance. That's what that funding is for. The Indian Self-Determination Act is to have the tribes make as many decisions as possible. So I've always encouraged that. But there's a thought out there that we're trying to not follow our own responsibilities.
I could understand that, being the proud people that we are, and heavy treaty tribes that I hear that the tribes in our area stand on that as they should. There was one gentleman, I don't remember his name, but he called he called the BIA the longswords. You probably even know which gentleman I'm talking about. And just the mentality, that it wasn't that the tribe couldn't do for themselves. It was that they felt firm that it was the responsibility and their treaty rights for the government to fulfill some of these roles. But through that, I think we've learned that the tribe has a better grasp on some of those duties.
True, and we're not the same bureau that we were 100 years ago, even 50 years ago. If you look now at our staff, it's mostly tribal and tribal members, and so we're not the same. And so I take that really is an insult to the bureau when somebody calls us long knives or long swords.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do, and
I never
because
heard that before. I was like, what is it?
Yeah, it's a reference to Union soldiers. So, so yeah, it's definitely an insult to us, and I don't think it's fair because we're not the same bureau, and I've always tried to encourage partnerships where we're working together, and because we do have we have some of the same goals, and it's always been my goal to do what, if it's possible to do what the tribe wants, then that's what I want to do.
So with that, will you be building an office of self-governance, or what do we have in our area office to support self-governance tribes?
Right now, we don't have a self-governance staff, and that may not even be possible. There's a lot of, I worked in the Midwest for a while, and there wasn't like one self-governance coordinator there, and there's a lot of self-governance tribes in the Midwest. That support actually comes out of DC, and so, and that's probably who you'd be working with. If you went self-governance, a lot of it would be through the DC staff, the central office staff.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, I think that'd be something to look forward to in the future, to bring some of that a little bit closer. Even from the Midwest to all the way out to our western seaboard out there, to have that ability so we can have communication for what we're trying to do and where we're trying to go. Talking about 638ing or compacting our law enforcement due to a lot of bad things. We're here elected members of our people, and we've had a lot of wrongdoings in our community over the past few years. At least 4 or 5 individuals were taken home against their will, and that's why we're looking at our financial assets on that law enforcement side and asking about the jailhouse, so we can kind of take that under our own control and right those wrongs, because the way it's going right now, we're just kind of like getting a lot of lip service on we'll make tomorrow better than today. And ever since I've been on council, I've been hearing that, and we just recently had another individual taken home beyond, against their will. And so if we can just make something with a little bit more communication to flow, to get the answers that we're looking for, where we're trying to go, because we're not the only tribe that's going through this. And so maybe we can help someone else be a better tribe as well. So with that said, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, anybody?
Excuse me, Chairwoman.
Yes.
I have a question. How many BIA law enforcement officers are here in Winnebago?
Well, Well, I have those numbers actually. Let me get it from Jason, because there was this reporter calling, and I can't remember what magazine or what newspaper he was calling from, but they were kind of digging about the BIA, and I had no interest in, I guess, talking to him. But what they were getting at was trying to identify probably the shortcomings of the agency, but I got those numbers from Jason because this guy was asking me. But anyway, I didn't respond any further or talk to them because I think we have goals, and I don't want to compromise any goals that we have by talking to the media. And let's see, I think it was from like USA Today or something.
Three.
Is it 3?
Yeah, you got Will, you got the detail that just came in, works nights, and then you got Jason. And then Tony Walker,
Yeah.
he's BIA, so 4. Yeah.
Well, I will definitely have a conversation with Mr. Burge when I get back, and then maybe he can address you specifically as council.
Okay.
So one of the things on the issues was we were having some we kind of need the IT guy here kind of fast, we got some computers that really need to be updated and need to be serviced, and they're in the BIA system, so our guys can't touch them or anything. and don't feel comfortable even trying to do anything. You gotta have certain government clearance to get into these computers, but a lot of these computers are some of the things that help file the reports and bridge that communication. And so on paper or on computer, however you want to look at it, it looks like there's nothing going on here in Winnebago. And really, we've had in the past couple of years, we've had 5 deaths that kind of still been kind of waiting for an update on as far as they're under investigation and those kind of things. But when Jason's able to kind of reach out for more help, a part of that is once they look back at the data, they're like, no, it's not there. And so nobody knows that these computers need to be updated in order to file the reports, in order to create the stats, in order to get the help in here that we're talking about. So that's one of the big things. And I've tracked this thing down to saying, hey, it might have been construction, a wire cut when the roundabout was put in, to, hey, this computer needs to be taken and plugged into a system where it's got that control. So our hospital system also kind of runs on that same thing, and I think Nyla and them, they also have that out there too. So it's almost like unplugging this computer, taking it out and plugging it in somewhere to update the system, you know, which is kind of a hassle. So just trying to look at and recognize all these where they need help or where they can get help, or how do we fix this, you know? Because you have the doers and then you have the complainers. Myself, I like to be a doer. So I like to try to do things and get things done. Because anybody can sit around and complain about it. But if you want it done, you have to get it, you have to have the consistency in it to keep pushing it. So,
I'll make sure you get the expertise that's needed.
okay.
Okay.
We appreciate that.
Thanks, I got an answer for you. This is the rundown of what we have. We have the BIA Chief of Police, BIA Supervisory Police Position, Police Officer, which is vacant and funded. BIA School Resource Officer, we have that. Is that guy still on military? Oh, he's back? Okay. BIA Police Officer, vacant and funded. BIA Police Officer, vacant and funded. BIA Police Officer, funded in person, is on medical but being paid by Workman's Comp. BIA Law Enforcement Assistant Secretary, BIA Law Enforcement Position 1, not funded. BIA Law Enforcement Position 2, not funded. BIA Law Enforcement Position 3, not funded. BIA Special Agent, position under investigation budget. BIA Corrective Supervisor, Police Officer. BIA Correction Officer, BIA Correction Officer, BIA Correction Officer, vacant and not funded. So from this, we've got 3 officer positions not funded and a corrections officer position not funded. Jason had told us before that that those positions were taken away from us. And so that's one of the things that I think that when we talk about self-governance, it's added the detail. And I know that's outside of your shop, but you can understand that we've had multiple homicides, I would call them. And the perception is that it's Sesame Street here. They even said Sesame Street. That's the word they used. And it's not Sesame Street here. So that's something we need help with.
Well, if you went self-governance, you would definitely have more control over the funding. So that would be the huge advantage.
As well as our chief of police, I think there's always just more, I guess, assertion of priorities.
Yep.
So, but there's lots of directions we want to improve, but we have the latitude to do that in some more than others, and this would be one that we've talked for 5 years about this, and it really feels like amongst the council that we're ready to take that step. And we've worked with Jason along this line too, but they're not going to like write themselves off the island, you know, so
Right.
We really need the help and the answers with a forthcoming partnership.
Right.
That's not self-preservation.
Okay, I will make sure that happens.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We go on and on. Anything else, guys?
The one thing, and she kind of hit on it, was the talking about corrections and transporting. So one of the avenues that we're trying to explore too is this day and age, not only here in Winnebago but across Indian country itself, we have a lot of people with mental illness due to different circumstances in their life. And so one of the things that we're trying to look at is how do we transport these people to the proper services in a timely fashion. And what does that look like? Is that something our corrections facilities officers with their training and their customized vehicles would be able to do? Because what happens is we have our ambulance that service that transports them. I mean, we've gotten from here to Scotts Bluff to Kansas City, Oklahoma. I mean, we're going way out of state now transporting people, and we're trying to help what we can with what we have. But at the same time, we have, when the ambulance is out, that's taking that away from here in town. And so we have another ambulance, a backup ambulance, but we're having that staffing more and more as we grow.
I know that's been an issue between law enforcement and medical and also social services, who needs to be the ones to transport. I know that law enforcement, if it's a mental illness situation, they're taking, I think their approach is that it's not a law enforcement issue. So it comes down between social services. Do they do the transporting, or is it, somewhere in the medical field that does it? And I know there's been a lot of discussions on that. We can certainly help out if it's social services, and we can look at that, and because I think it does fall into that category somewhat. So now, if there's a danger, and if the individual poses a danger, then it should be law enforcement. I think then they would step in if it's some sort of a dangerous individual.
So one of the issues that happens, and this is how it currently happens, and if there's anybody out there that can stand to correct me, I'm all ears. But a call comes in, and this person is trying to hurt themselves, and so the officer will show up, and most likely sometimes we'll take them to the ER, or either we'll have to call the ambulance right then and there. But what's going on is that when the ambulance shows up, that's not safe for the ambulance to be, the personnel to be right next to somebody that's in that mindset. And so it's like, it becomes like a safety concern far as for the first responders or for the EMTs. And it's almost like in law enforcement, they call it officer safety. And so it's how do we work together and fix that, so everybody gets what they need, far as safety as the responders, and as safety as the person, or if you want to call them a client or a subject or a person, in that time frame. How do we transport that? Because
it's a good question, because it's a nationwide issue when you go look at some of these shootings that have occurred, and you have law enforcement trying to perform some sort of psychological evaluation on the scene. So I know that's been a nationwide issue, and I don't know exactly how that's going to be addressed, but I'll bring that up with Mr. Burge also.
So the question that maybe you could carry this question wherever it needs to go, is that how are we able to properly use our correctional facilities as transport in some of those situations? So when I ask that question on our side, because they're understaffed right now, the person that's just transporting on a daily basis to and from court and jail, their hours are way over for overtime. So they're like, no, you shut down. So the detailing, you've probably heard that round and round, the detailing officers in and out of here and all that. So when an officer comes on, goes and arrests somebody, he has to transport that person to a jail, Wagner, Yankton, and wherever, and then leaves his post down here. So we either have to call on Omaha Nation to come in and watch, or Thurston County to come in and watch. But if we had that corrections fully staffed, then we could have that just come in and turn them loose, and over to corrections, and they could transport them, because we're being unprotected here. And with all these shootings, in this month, with 5 shootings being there, it's going to be a matter of time before things start getting close to here. And I hope not, but.
Well, and I think probably more long-term, maybe that's something that could be addressed in the codes that you're looking at revising in policy, put some policy in place. So you'll have a process for evaluating and then taking action. So,
Okay. So you're kind of recommending just off the hip to put something in a code would be a start?
Well, I think that's probably where you would at least let everybody know that, hey, this is the process. If you have somebody that's dangerous, and law enforcement, if it's a mental issue and they're not dangerous, then maybe call social services. Whatever go through all the different scenarios. And
Because when we do call on law enforcement, not only is the corrections tapped out on OT, but also we run into the other part of saying, well, I don't have clearance for that. I can't authorize that because of the chain of command within the structure of the BIA. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or anything like that. I'm just kind of telling it like it is, and I'm sorry if I hurt feelings along the way. But so when we say that, hey, send corrections over to transport, then they're like, we can't do that, So then we're right up against a brick wall. So then that's where the harsh feelings start to be created and generated, and we're not ever going to get anywhere if we can't work together,
agreed.
So,
Agreed.
but I just wanted to, maybe you could take those
Okay.
questions back. I know it's a lot of homework and stuff, and you service 13 other different tribes? Within this
16 total in Great Plains. So
Okay, so you're busy, but
lately it has been. So.
yeah, that's all I.
But if you need me to come back, continue this dialogue and continue our improved communications, I'm certainly willing to do that, fit into my schedule, I'll be back.
Okay, thank you. We're still working on the Isaac. We're still working on him too. We're still working on the issue that Isaac raised and trying to hit it from multiple angles. We have a meeting set up. Our CEO of our hospital has been working on this for probably a couple years now, and with the state of Nebraska and HHS and looking. But one of the greatest barriers within that kind of problem is the transportation, and because we have BIA law enforcement here, they are a player in this discussion. So we have that meeting. What is that? This Friday? I think Omaha Nation is hosting that meeting this Friday with the state of Nebraska. So if Nyla, if you would be available, or even to just listen to what the discussion is and what the problems are, maybe it would give you some ideas on where you can insert yourself.
And if you give me the details on that, I'll see if we can get somebody from OJS
Okay.
in Aberdeen to attend it too.
Okay, well, let me look for that right now and then start forwarding it.
Okay.
We covered a lot of ground.
Right.
Any other thoughts come up? But
Get that done, and we'll talk more.
All right.
So, I'd like to make a suggestion, and I know that the Omaha tribe has their detention facility, and I don't know what the Winnebago tribe would think about considering putting a detention facility, a collaborative detention facility for both the Winnebago and Omaha reservations. But of course, the agency, we service 3 tribes, so in consideration of that too, then we'd have to work out some sort of arrangement for Santee. But currently, the way it is, they're transporting, Winnebago's transporting all their prisoners up to Wagner. They have no place to go. And
So
they're
they have
not
no place here
utilizing
at all.
No, so that's the issue. A part of it is and I'll use myself for instance. If I show up drunk at Coley's house and Coley calls the cops on me and doesn't want me there, the officer will pull up and they're going to take me to all my other family members' house. And if none of them accept me, then I can either spend 3 to 6 to 8 hours in the back of a cop car in front of the police station, or I can maybe wait for the next ride up to Yankton or Wagner. And those are things that
I guess I just assumed that you were using the Omaha facility.
no, we always have there's always an issue between payment for that. And then Pender, we use Pender, Thurston County Jail, and there seems to be, they got a ban list down there. And so of certain people from certain tribes they don't allow anymore just because of whatever reasons. But so we're kind of stuck with, where do we put these guys? What do we do with them? And if the officer comes up and removes me from Coley's house and takes me to my aunt's house, and then I'm quiet until my buzz starts to wear off or my hangover starts kicking in, then she calls, then they pick me up and then they'll take me to the next. And so they're only doing what they can with what they have, and that's why I'm trying to ask for help for them, you know.
I'm trying to make it bigger than I
But yeah, it's
It has like something about personality.
Really, wow.
I didn't believe it existed till I got a copy
Yeah.
of it.
I just want to respond to Nyla's suggestion.
Send that to me.
About 12 years ago, the tribe was having conversations about
Oh, there we go.
a detention center, and
See, look at some of the
the conversation was talking about to make it financially feasible if Winnebago would be willing to accept prisoners from Santee
Thank you.
and Omaha and Ponca. And that discussion was going on, and then all of a sudden it kind of took a different direction when looking at juvenile services. And so they kind of went away from that adult detention center discussion and how it would be financially feasible if one was built here, we would accept prisoners from the surrounding tribes, and everything went into this juvenile approach. And so it stopped there on the adult. But what we want to be a part of, whether we go self-governance or contracting, is our own adult detention center here in Winnebago. Because, if we look at our data, the amount of time the officers spend transporting to the Yankton reservation and then there's the court hearings and all of this, that it takes away from public safety on the reservation. And so wanting to get that, I'm coming back to that budget again, wanting to get that budget gives us the information, or part of the information, to be going towards whether it's going to be self-governance or a contract. But we got to know what's actually funded to our agency before we start making plans. But right in the middle of that is going to be an adult detention center here in Winnebago. And one of the, I just wanted to respond on the, it's called in crisis, patients in crisis, or that's what it's called, right? But in our ER, our people show up there and they may be, a harm to themselves or a harm to others, but it's not criminal. So what has been our experience is our local BIA law enforcement won't do anything because it's not, they'll only do something if it's criminal. So what happens is we may get an emergency protective order, and then we're trying to get them placed somewhere for services in the state. But the state doesn't recognize tribal emergency protective orders. So the tribe here in this past legislative session went down and met with the legislators and brought this issue up, and it included our self-governance, our hospital. And they brought this up to them that we need the state to recognize tribal emergency protective orders. And so there's movement to do that, but it didn't happen like overnight. I think we're going to have to go back down there again. But we addressed it with the state legislature, and I don't think it's not solved yet, but the education is supposed to be ongoing to try to come to terms together on this issue. But the BIA law enforcement won't do anything unless they're a criminal prisoner. a criminal charge on them. So I just want to make that clear. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Lorelei. Coley.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to apologize. I'm going back and forth with our Little League coaches. We're playing the number 1 team tonight, and our fields are bad, and we're going to West Point, so I'm a little irritated with that. But good talks with our self-governance. I was going to say some stuff, and I think I'll hold it with tribal council. I will support us self-governing to be the law enforcement coming up 100%. And I do believe the Bureau of Indian Affairs, IHS, they do need a self-governance team to come help. You know, is Spirit Lake a functional hospital? Do they have inpatients? Kind of what I'm getting to and what I'll discuss my concerns with later. So I do support that, and I do think the BIA and IHS need a self-governance team to come help the tribes operating those departments. And again, I'll say it with the detention center. I think it's time to look at the statistics. Go back a decade or two and how much money is being spent transporting, and look at the long run for the next 20, 30 years, and talk about saving money. The Bureau of Indian Affairs, the government saving money, building us a detention facility. The 4 tribes, of course, we want it here, and we'll operate it, you know. But yeah, I agree with that, and I support that, and thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Good comments, everyone, and thank you for thinking of how we can better provide for services here for the membership and community. Eric, you had a follow-up comment?
Yes. When we're talking about the jailhouse, that you said it might, we're looking at Santee and the Omahas, that I think we'd have to look at the budget increase for that to make our facility bigger, to house everybody. And as we're talking now about transportation and being short on manpower, that we have to put people in the back of police units until we can get transportation for them. And I think that's just going to be something that we're going to have to keep in mind. And I think I'd be interested, along with the council, to find out what that increase would be to take care of these other 3 tribes in Winnebago. I mean, not Winnebago, in Nebraska. And so it was a little bit different when it was just us. But now that we're talking about the other tribes, we're going to have to increase that. And whether contracting for manpower or using our own people, we're going to have to keep that in mind. And I think that would just be something very important for us to look at, because like we say right now, we're short on manpower at our police station. And knowing that we're taking people away from there, or when something happens and we have someone at the hospital, one of our police officers is at the hospital, that there's small gaps when we don't have anybody in the area to respond to any type of calls. And you know, we're working with local communities to keep ourselves covered, whether it's accidents or whatever it might be, homicides, that we'd be able to take care of ourselves. And that's kind of what this whole thing is that we're talking about, is taking care of ourselves, the people that put us here. And so, knowing that this has been talked about 6 years ago or 12 years ago, that it's time that we move forward. And we, you know, I don't want to say time is the essence, but as we've seen, we've had people killed in our community, and there's no justice for them. Even today, we have people that have ended other people's lives that are still in our community doing what they've done up to this point to get us here to have these conversations. And so I think time is of the essence. The sooner that we can get these answers, the sooner we can start planning and making our future moves to not only take care of our community, but our surrounding communities and other tribes in our state. So just kind of something to look forward to, you know, in that respect of our community. You know, we want everybody to feel safe. And again, there's just so much crime on these reservations, even here, that we can't catch it all. And then even when we do catch it, we can't hold the individuals. So with that said, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, so to wrap it all up, I think thank you for looking into some of the logistics on how we can better attend the Chairman's Association meetings, the follow-up on the lease that we're working towards for the building, as well as our farm leases. I think we wrapped that up. And self-governance. So would you like us to write a proposal requesting funds to attend the self-governance, or do you want to circle back with what may be available?
You can just send me an email is fine.
Okay.
I'll follow up on it.
Okay. Anything I'm forgetting that we mentioned that we need follow-up on? Yep.
I have some
Yep.
comments.
I got a cell phone. Louis, what was that?
I have some comments.
Okay, go ahead, Louis.
I've been dealing with law enforcement problems since before Clyde's story. It's been a hell of a battle. We had to get rid of him. And then somehow Dakota County and Thurston County got money from the feds to deal with these problems. And they don't work with us. Our prisoners aren't welcome there. It's a mess. We have to recognize that we got outmaneuvered. We got beat. Those counties got the money. And we're dealing with the problem. When they built that new jail in Macy, Bob Bagway and James Boxford and I were working on a retrocession bill. We went down to see the new building, and there was a professional there. He informed us that that building was out of compliance the day that it was completed. They left to Albuquerque to sign it. And it didn't work out the way they wanted. The Romans were escaping and figured out ways to get out of that jail. It caused more problems. We have to look at our needs first. Because the other tribes aren't going to help us solve our needs. We got to solve our own needs. I think we need to get a design that includes all of the components. We have failures now. We need a system to deal with mental health patients. We've got a system to deal with alcoholics, but it doesn't seem to be working. So we got to solve our own problems or look for solutions that we can work on. We got to make the Bureau look good. Because they're a key part in what can happen. If they look good and it benefits the tribe, they'll go for it. a very young and energetic man from the area office. We're going to support him. But he's going to have to support us. But I think we can make it work. We got the mindset of the council. We want to do something to solve the problems. I'm going. I'll say let's go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis, for that encouragement and always reminding us how far we've come from the days of Clyde's story, and also reminding us that that as an area we'd be more successful if we support Mr. Lapointe and we work with his office and on achieving the goals that we have, and really I guess helping pick up our whole area. I just think the better that each of the tribes, that strengthens us as an area, that strengthens us as a region, and I'm looking forward to building that with you.
Me too. Thank you.
So thank you for coming today, and we look forward to our next discussions. And I sent you guys both those, that picture I just shared, and then I sent you the meeting planner or not the meeting planner, the meeting information for Friday, and I emailed that lady asking, is it still happening? Because there was really no dialogue or response. It was just like, this meeting's being held. So I guess what I'm saying is none of the tribes responded and say, so I hope that we have participation from all 4 tribes.
Thank you. Again, it's
Thank
been
you.
an honor to meet before you. And
Have a safe trip.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. So do you guys want to take a 5-minute break or go right into the meeting? 5-minute break, okay. We'll take a 5-minute recess before we go into the rest of our meeting with the minutes, the ratifications, and our new business.
Thank you. Good meeting. Thank you. Thank you. Good seeing you. Take care.
Safe travels,
All
sir.
right. Thank you.
5 minutes, then go into our meeting.
All right.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
What time is it? Smoke time. 10:19, 5 minutes.
Anybody want the snacks? Should I go get the snacks?
So council, since we're kind of waiting real quick question.
That one's off.
Some updates to the chambers. We know we have some ongoing building discussions, but there's things that this room might need now to better serve the membership and the council. So more to come on that, and so we'll get back to the agenda. We had our guests here from the BIA. Thank you, council, for all your comments and your suggestions that are going to help us build that relationship and that work. So that brings us to the minutes. Now we'll just start the regular portion of our meeting. We have the May 19th, 22 mid-monthly meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Rona. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. May 20th, 2022 General Council meeting minutes. Do we have a motion to approve? Motion by Isaac. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. We have a series of ratifications for the membership's concern. As you know, we had some postponed meetings and we required 5 signature approval for our action items. So we'll go through those 11 items now. Number 1, approve proposed changes to the Finance Department org chart. Do we have a motion to ratify? We have a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion by Isaac. Louis, you want to second that?
Second.
Second by Louis. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Number 2, approve purchase of dozer from Road Machinery and Supply Company. Do we have a motion to ratify?
Motion.
Motion by Rona.
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Number 3, approve insurance renewal as proposed by the Mahoney Group. Do we have a motion to ratify?
Motion.
Motion by Louis. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by
I
Rona.
have a question.
Discussion. Lorelai.
My understanding is this part of the Mahoney Group doesn't involve the health program. And I didn't know that before. But I'm going to have questions when the health program comes up before the fiscal year. So I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and we'll make sure that we have the people at that meeting that can answer those questions and be a part of the discussion. So thank you for that. Any further comments or discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Number 4, approve request revision promotions coordinator job description. Do we have a motion to ratify?
So moved.
Motion by Rona. Discussion. Excuse me, second.
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion.
That's Winnebago's, right?
Yeah.
So this is we're moving into the Winnebago's approvals.
Okay.
Motion second by Eric. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Number 5, approve revision to building maintenance shift technician, job description, manning document, and org chart. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Number 6, approve request $10,000 spin to win Saturdays in July 2022. Just trying to throw extra zero over there. My bad.
Motion to ratify.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Number 7, approve June promotion 3 bid process. Agrivision of Ottawa. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Rona. Discussion. Or excuse me. D. Second.
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 Second by Eric. Discussion. What's Agrivision? Anybody
It's one
remember?
of their promos. It's just where they're gonna get the lawnmowers from. I think
Oh,
that was-
cool, cool. All right, so we got lawnmowers on the way. Any further discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0. Number 8, approve request. Sit and go slot tournament Fridays in July 22. Do we have a motion?
Motion to
So
ratify.
moved.
Motion by Louis, second by Eric.
Yes.
Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 8-0. Number 9, approve request of funding to attend training Native American Water Association for the Utility Board. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Rona. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Thank you to the Utility Board for their willingness to attend this. Any further discussion?
The only thing on that is with the utility. The only thing on that is with the utility board. And I got a chance to speak with one of them, and I'm trying to see when the next when they want to sit down and have another meeting, because one of the things that they wanted to do was try to meet with the council and kind of brainstorm some ideas and visions of where and how we want to structure this and get this going. But this, at the same time, needs to happen parallel with some of the stuff that's taking place in regards to the water and sewer. And so if I can, I've been trying to get those two kind of moving a little bit and working off to the side of it. But I just wanted to throw that out there so the rest of the council kind of knows too. Thanks.
Thank you. Did you have some dates that you wanted to schedule that, or do you want to look at dates in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I want to look at some dates, and then right now I was checking out the schedule, and we're kind of playing catch up. So at the same time that I'm looking at, once we get these other meetings all caught up, then we can start putting those out. But I'll put an invite out and see what it works for everybody, but I'm going to go off of the council's calendar.
Okay, thank you for that. Rona.
Yeah. Other than that, for the money, it's gonna come out of the council's travel. It was like 5,500.
For the send them?
But for the future, for fiscal year 23, if we're gonna be really getting detailed and getting into, utility board taking on more things, Ellen would like to see a budget for the utility
good.
board, actual budget, and so they can be included in appropriations
Okay.
for further
So-
training and meetings and whatever else.
Sounds good. Thank you for working on that. So the motion, would you like that amount in there? Stated in there, or
No, I think
No? it's okay? Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion or comments? Objection. Motion carried 8-0. Okay, thank you. Number 10, adopt resolution 22-111 FY22 Head Start American Indian Alaska Native Supplement, COLA and Quality Improvement. Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
So moved.
Do you want to second that, Brian?
Sure.
We have a second motion by Isaac and second by Brian. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 800. Number 11, approve new position request for communications, job description, communication officer, webmaster. Do we have a motion to ratify?
Make a motion.
Motion by Isaac. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Eric. Discussion.
Who
Object-
is this position under? Who is this
Communications?
position under, ma'am?
Communications. Garen, did you want to comment on that?
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Council. We're going to hire a webmaster, and that person is going to take care of our website and make sure that every program. Right now, we've just kind of been piecing it together and stuff, and Brandon's been really helping us out. But this person would be dedicated to the Winnebago tribes as well as the Winnebago Indian News, getting that information out so that the website can be attended to more often.
Okay.
So I think it will be coming out of IDC.
Okay. So how many positions does that mean it's under this program?
So under communications, there's a communications officer. We have the WIN editor. We have the office manager for the WIN. We have the communications office, and then manager, and then we'll also have the webmaster.
Okay. Now, is Brandon completely separate from your program?
Brandon, yeah, he's under
Okay.
finance.
And does he have the people that are in the back there work under him?
Yeah.
They're the ones that come in and fill in when he goes in
Yeah.
beside you? Okay.
Yeah. Information technology. He services the computers and everything, and then on the other side, communication does the wind and
Okay.
what we're doing here today.
Okay, I never knew who was who when it comes to running that. They
Yep.
do a good job.
They're
Thank
all
you.
so
Yeah.
busy. Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Any further comments or questions? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 800. Thank you, Council. That brings us to our new business, and we have the 2022 Self-Governance Conference. This conference was postponed 2 years ago. At that time, we may have had travel approval, but things have changed since then, and we have new council, and hopefully we could get some support from the BIA to attend that. So looking for a travel approval, and I guess regardless if the BIA will fund it, I would like to see a delegation go. And it's in August, right after powwow. It's a tough time to leave right after powwow, especially if you have family in town, but I'm gonna look at how I can get that done because I really wanna be
Yeah.
there.
Me too.
Is that like right after Powell?
You fly Monday after powwow. That would be the travel day.
No, I think everything starts Monday.
Oh, it starts Monday? Okay, so.
That's what I was saying, it's the hard part.
So we should look at the agenda and see which part is first, if they're doing the health portion first, or if they're doing the interior portion first. Rona's gonna be really busy, really tired, so hopefully that works out. No? Yep, she's got it, she's got it. Okay.
I got it.
So hopefully, thank you, Rona, for looking forward to that. And anyone else that wants to look at their calendar, we would love to have you participate in that.
Madam Chair? I think that we should have a plan, a strategy, and subdivide those that are going to what we want all to share in covering because this is major. We may go into law enforcement and self-governance too, separate from what we're already in for a hospital. This is major. This is where we're going to find out what's coming down the tubes by the Interior Department, the Department of Health and Human Services, and it's networking, especially with our Great Plains area tribes, so we can go in and accomplish things with a united voice. So as many council members as can go. Before that, we should have that meeting. Even I'm gonna go, and I never go anywhere.
What did you say, Tori, earlier?
I said, the bus go that far?
I was gonna
Just
say.
teasing Lorelai. I know she don't like to fly.
I
I,
never
I was
go
gonna
anywhere.
say, talking about powwow. Brian's already at powwow. How'd flag raising go this morning, Brian?
It was good. I was the only one there.
Oh, good one.
All right, well, sounds good. I really appreciate you guys looking forward to that. And Lorelai, that's a good idea, so we can have full coverage of the
whole
conference.
All we usually kind of do anyway, whoever's there, we kind of coordinate and, okay, I'm gonna go this one, okay, I'll go this one then.
Is that,
Just automatic.
Council, I just throw this out there since we're kind of in discussion with it. Is that something that, I guess, one of the issues that I always kind of notice is that, including myself, is that when we go to all these different travel things and stuff, there's some stuff that if we had somebody, like say we had Garen go out there and record the whole thing to bring the rest of that back wherever the tribal council sat in at, so that way they could update the rest of the council on that. It's kind of falls in line with the trip report and stuff, but we have a hard time with sharing the information that we went out and seeked and sharing that amongst each other and developing a plan from that. I think that's the whole point of traveling and going out there and doing all these things, is to try to bring those kind of things back to the tribe. I just kind of throw that out there if that's...
I know a few times we've shared slides from each presentation, and you have access to those things.
So are you thinking that you want Garen to go too? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm just saying that for any travel, that's just something to think about, you know, like if I went and said, hey, Garen, our council, I want to go to this, and then I think this would benefit the tribe and the people and everything. Garen go with me, and then he videotapes it, and then we bring that back and we show the council, and then we also could put it on the big screen. We could display it with the public of saying, here's what we're actually out there doing, here's what we've learned about. And then that way, if we're able to explore some of those avenues that the council is trying to move in those directions, then there's a lot of other smart tribal members out there that will have input or either have a little bit of background and knowledge of those. And so we're kind of building that team within a little bit, you know, along with the unity of the community. So
I hear what you're saying, and I've heard, you know, multiple times council has said, and community, you know, we could always do a better job of communicating what the council is working on. I know Garen has had different ideas on doing like a weekly spotlight, or at the end of the week doing like a chop up just to say like, this is what we did this week. Finding time to do those things is a whole nother story, but we had taken Garen to Oklahoma with us, and it was really, and Garen, I don't know if you mind, or, you know, we're talking about you, so, you know, join in the conversation if you want. But it's good to document those things, and it's good to have a person that is like reading the room, and or if you're like keyed in on the discussion and you're talking to that federal partner, and then Garen's in there taking it all in and kind of taking his notes and taking some pictures, and so that's really something when the tribe could capture that. And if this is something that the tribe would like to do that for, as almost like a journey, you know, like with the hospital, there's so much that happened in those meetings and the feelings and the thoughts, but we didn't always take pictures and we didn't always document that. So Garen did a good job, and his wife, when we had the grand opening and things like that, but you don't always get those pieces. So I'm all for it. Garen, if you're interested and willing, that's another opportunity that you could also expand maybe your department and what other folks are doing. But so a lot of words, I'm all for it. It's always a good thing if we have the time and resources to do that, because the council does so much good stuff all the time, and I don't think we always get to share it. I see a lot of tribal leaders use social media. I'm kind of shy, so I don't use social media that much. I don't know if you guys think that I'm a shy person, but I just don't. But I could do a better job and be a better tribal leader if I did. So maybe Garen could help me with that. I just went to Washington for that stack work group, and Mr. Ron Allen, Chairman Ron Allen, hosted us. Beautiful land. I want to send you guys some of these pictures. And they call him the king of self-governance. And he's been the chairman of the Jamestown Klamath tribe for since they got re-recognized in 77 or something. So he's been the chairman for over 40 years. It's just amazing what somebody can do with that kind of tenor. And so self-governance, some tribes, like I said, they're powerful. So I continue to learn and appreciate Ron Allen. So do we have a motion with all that good discussion? I don't think we had a motion yet.
Make the motion.
Do we have a motion by Eric to send a delegation to the 22 Self-Governance Conference? We have a second by Louis. Any further discussion?
Comment.
Coley.
Yeah, with that being said, I do think we always ask updates from our entities, so I think Garen could help with that. Anytime Tribal Council goes on travel to a training or a workshop or whatever it is, that an update be done, so we're sharing what was done, what was said, and the accomplishments that we're doing in the coming years. What did we accomplish? What are we looking to do? So updates every time that we go on, something like that. That'd be good. As communications, yep. Because Garen does an excellent job. You do, Garen. Thank you.
So the radio has continued to take off, and I really enjoyed the show you guys put on and your team. That's something that it's real easy when you guys ask the questions. And so if we wanted to talk about, hey, you just got back from Washington, what'd you guys do there? What was the objective? I mean, I think that'd be a fun, easy way to share information.
Renewal was supposed to bring it forward.
So good point, and that would kind of put the council on the hot seat to share everything that we learned. So thank you for that recommendation. Okay, and Garen, are you interested in going to that self-governance conference, or do you want to look at your calendar? It's the week of basically right after Powell, August 1st, in California.
San Francisco.
So we'll walk up the bridge on the top.
Make sure you guys don't have warrants out there for Alcatraz.
Yeah, Alcatraz.
Is Lorelei going out there? Is Lorelei or aliens?
Lorelei mean.
Linnell has a comment. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we need
And the
we
same
need
with the
our
hospital.
We need to
we
spread
need
it.
Joy to go. I mean, we need a delegation. So if you can add that to the CEO report and see amongst your team who's able to attend and who Esther and yourself think would benefit.
And the same with our hospital administration.
Yep, they probably are going anyway. So, but it's a good idea to know who's all going.
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion? Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Our next item is the Wake and Burial Program Policy and Forms. Do we have
Linnell, we asked
Linnell
for
talk about that? Hi, Linnell, you can come sit with us.
Sorry, I was not able to get anything within the packet since I was gone last week, but I did put in a request to get all of the forms to be shared with the table if you would like to put it on Wednesday's CEO report agenda.
Okay, so
So
we'll just.
I apologize,
Oh, no
with
problem.
me being
No,
out.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, we're glad you're back and that you could be with your family, so condolences.
Thank you.
So should we just motion to table that then?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so can we have a motion to table the Wake and Burial Program
Motion
policy
to
and forms?
table.
Motion by Eric to table to the CEO report. Do we have a second? Second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection. Motion carried 8-0-0. That brings us to our next item, which is an update on the floor that we had previously approved. So the floor update.
Oh, I got another.
I got a call on it yesterday.
Did you? Yeah. Share with what you have, and then I'll.
So I got a call yesterday from James. He got, whoever the contractors are, he got a call that they're actually prepared to come in and start working on the offices this week. But I told him to hold off until I present it to council to see what you all would like to do, because when they come in, they're gonna have to utilize the hallway and probably the chambers. And with all of the rescheduled meetings, I'm not sure if this week was the best week for that.
Is Esther in office? Is Esther still out?
She's out. She will not start teleworking until next week.
Okay. So council, this week we have the CEO report scheduled on the 8th. Were we gonna do that without Esther, or were we gonna?
Yes.
Okay. Does the council want to do that remotely? I myself want to just get that work done. I'm comfortable working remotely. Linnell, will you be leading that meeting?
Yes, I will be here.
Lorelai, do you have any thoughts on that?
What else are we having this week?
So
I
this
thought we
week,
were pretty busy.
this week we have our emergency services meeting tomorrow, and then Travoy canceled. Like I said, they had some exposure to illness. Wednesday was the CEO report. Thursday we have a Nebraska Intertribal Coalition call. There's
Was it 9 a.m. or who was all in that one?
Thursday's that
6:38 discussion?
USDA housing rehab
at
thing.
1 p.m. There's a meeting at 1 p.m. for that.
That's like
I think that's at
internal.
Joy's office too, isn't it?
Which one?
The
USDA?
USDA discussion.
I believe so.
Okay.
The BIA meeting is just internal. It's a follow-up from that training.
Oh, okay.
So,
How long estimated to get the job done?
I think he said a couple days.
Couple, 3 days?
Yeah.
did we talk to Alan about how that would impact his team at all?
The last the last time I talked to him, he said it wouldn't.
Okay.
So I think the only concern was disrupting any council meetings in the chambers.
What about fumes?
I don't think that was.
I don't
ever-
think
Aren't they gonna replace with tile?
they're gonna take out the old carpet and put tile down. So I don't know if there will be a lot of fumes in that little area. It's not as strong as that stuff that they use in the gym. I know that. But the idea was to basically take Louis and my desk and shove them in here for the time being, let them do their thing, and then move them back in there.
Just so your desks don't fall apart.
And that's no, really, that's the other thing too, and is that they, I don't know, we'll see how that goes, but when they start moving them, because they're kind of rickety, but
So I'm just anxious to get the work done. I think it's great that we're made this much progress in this short a time with everyone so backed up with all these work orders, I think, everywhere. So if the council would be okay with doing their meeting remotely, are you guys okay with that? I guess, does anybody in total disagreement? That would be, Wednesday's the biggest meeting we have this week. It's the CEO report. It's not to say they would start before or after that, but at least we could tell them, give them the green
How
light.
come they don't do it Thursday and Friday?
Is that an option?
I don't know if 2 days will be
Enough?
enough.
Well,
I
then
think
they
we-
could go into the weekend.
I think that was not an option for them.
Okay.
The last I knew.
Why not? They wanna get paid, don't they?
Well, that's very true.
I don't think they'll work on the weekends. I don't know what that was about, but because we were trying to do a Friday and then give them Saturday,
The
Sunday,
weekend,
and they said they got church on Sundays.
Does everyone have internet capabilities, or would you like us to set up another location? Okay. Well, go ahead, Rona.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay. I would like to just get it done. Lorelai, can we just accommodate that?
Yeah, as long as I'm just gonna bring this up now because it wasn't addressed before, but the disruption to tribal member services resulted from a lack of communication when one program is gonna have work done in that gym. We didn't get notified, and then because of the fumes, we had to shut down. And that affects tribal members wanting to access services. And that happened more than once. And that's what I don't want us to get into that situation. We need to be on top of communications. And then some programs, they were right on top of the noxious fumes. So they had to be out. And then, like, finance was coming in, and I even came in, and pretty soon I got a bad headache where I had to leave because I was breathing it, but because I smoke, I couldn't smell it.
Okay.
But I was breathing it. So I just think we could do better in communications so that tribal member services don't get disrupted.
So that'll be one of the questions. Then just call and reach back out to them. How's the fumes and the glue that they're going to be using? Because all it is gluing tile down. And then
Yeah.
if they're not going to be strong, I'm okay with going in and having the CEO report being remotely done, and then we give them Wednesday, Thursday, and possibly see if they need it Friday.
Well, I can, I'll give James a call right away and try to pinpoint how many days they'll actually need. And then as far as the staff, I'll be here all week. I don't plan to be gone. I do know the last conversation we had with James in the hallway, the only disruption to employees when this was going to take place was the hallway. I know finance, Alan said his team is always available to telework. They have everything set up already. So the only concern would be the admin staff, which would be Tyresha and Teresa. But myself, I don't see why Tammy would be gone. I think with just a few of us here, it should be fine. But we can work through that. But I'll try to pinpoint how many days for sure, so that way you all know.
So from hearing the feedback of the council, as soon as can be scheduled, and we're fine with doing remote CEO report or whatever other meeting may be in that time frame.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Linnell and Isaac, for keeping that kind of in motion and trying to make all the space available and safe for our tribal council. That brings us, so do we need was that just update, no action? We're good? Okay. That brings us to, before we go into executive session, our gaming commissioners under tribal council items. Do we have the results on who we will be appointing?
Yes, Tanya sent an email, I believe it was Friday. She tallied from everyone that put in score sheets.
Looking it up. Okay, here we go. Add to the regular. Okay, so here are the scores. Is it okay if or do you just want a motion for the two highest scorers? How would you like to take care of this, council? That we would just
Make a motion to appoint Thomas Snow.
He didn't get the highest score. Okay. So the scores, I guess I don't quite know what to do here because the scores are 188, 166, and 132.
I'll second that motion. Brian's.
Okay, so we have a motion by Brian to appoint Thomas Snow to the Gaming Commission, and we have a second by Coley. Discussion.
Madam Chair, I'm going to abstain from that
Okay,
because of the family relationship.
okay.
Me too.
Did you say me too, Louis?
Yeah.
Okay. So my only, I guess, question with that motion is that that person didn't get the highest score. So of the three applicants, that person got the lowest score. So I guess I'm just confused on why we scored then if we weren't gonna pick the people that got the highest score. But there's a motion on the table, so I just want to put that out there that Tina had talked to me about that, and we had set up a meeting, but we had to postpone it, and we have not got together. But she said that there's no process for the gaming. There's no process for the gaming commission interviews, and I was like, well, we've been doing them all these times. What do you mean there's no process? But there's no like policy written like how it is for the employees. So the question that I have might be addressed if we had a policy that governed, but because they're appointed positions, they're appointed by the council, it's a tough place to navigate through right now, for me anyway. So, So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comment?
Object.
We have one objection. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye or signify by raising your hand.
Brian, I.
So, Brian,
Aye.
Coley, Isaac. Opposed. Lorelei, Rona.
Where's Eric?
Eric is out of the room. Do we have two objections?
2 abstains.
Two abstains. Or yeah, two abstains. Abstentions, 2. So we got motion carried 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we have
3, 2, 2, 1.
oh, 2 abstentions. So 3. Oh yeah, 3, 2, 2. Okay. Thank you for that. So the next position, do we have another motion for the second position? Wasn't there 2?
There was 2.
There's 2 positions. There was the rest of Keeley's, and then there was or the how did that go?
I think it's just one, because we appointed Damon, and then there's just one.
Oh, okay, okay.
We haven't said we're gonna have a 4.
Oh yeah, we didn't add that yet. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, motion carried. The new gaming commissioner is Thomas Snow. Thomas Snow was the lowest score getter, you guys. I just want to remind everybody that we had 2 tribal applicants that had higher scores than that gentleman, and I think that we will hear from those 2 applicants.
Just a comment. I didn't score. I didn't submit a score sheet, and I wasn't sitting on the interviews. But in the past, like I said before, it's been done 3, 4 different ways. Done by appointment, done by letter, done by interview. I've seen it done
Yeah,
all 3, 5 different ways. So.
yeah. That's
I just
true.
think, well, no more comment.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reminding us that, because that is true. It's been done a variety of ways, and they are appointments by the council. So thank you, council. The next item is NIHB planning. Does anybody know about what that's about? Oh, that's my item. Gee. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of having a struggle with this. I had committed to attend the Region 7 consultation, which is in Kansas, or no, it's in Lawrence, Kansas, the week of July something. And that's a really important meeting because we talked about the different agencies, especially Child and Family, that we want to talk to some of those people. And then NIHB's having their, coming up on their 50th year, and they're having a strategic planning process that's going to take us into the next 50 years. So the CEO had reached out to me and said, I really need you to confirm if you're going to attend this meeting, and we really need you there. And I was like, well, I really need to be at that other meeting too. So I need to determine if we have coverage from our health department or if we have coverage from the council, and I need to decide that. So that's what that is. That's that planning meeting.
And that's in Lawrence?
No, the Region 7, HHS Region 7 meetings in Lawrence.
Okay.
The planning meetings in California. But they're at the same time. And so I thought I could split my time and do a day here and do 2 days there, but it's looking tough.
I might be interested in representing you at Lawrence.
That would be
for
wonderful.
several reasons. You know, I graduated from there.
And the meeting's at Haskell.
Well, I might even more be interested in that.
Make a motion to.
Well, I don't know for sure yet, but I would be leaning, if you would want to go to California instead of there, I might be willing to take up that.
Good one, Kenny.
I can drive down there, and.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
I will try to do that.
Okay. Well, I'll get you the information so you have all this stuff to,
Okay,
and then get Teresa to make you a room and things like that.
okay.
All right. So with that, is there a motion for the NIHB strategic planning session, which is reimbursable by NIHB?
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion by Brian. We have a second by Isaac. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 800.
Is that the one to California?
Yeah. Seven? Oh yeah, Eric's out. Sorry about that. 700. You guys should both go. I'm serious. I mean, that'd be awesome.
If me and Coley go, we might not get down there right on time, but we'll be down
You guys can check out the football program,
Yeah.
see if LA's is still open. Just kidding. That brings us to our executive session items.
Madam Chair, before we do, I'm going to take personal leave Thursday afternoon, Friday, and Monday. This was all arranged even before I got on the council, so it's a commitment I have to keep on behalf of my church. It's a church conference.
Okay.
So, I
no
will be
problem.
gone Thursday, Friday, and Monday.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with us and hope
So
you
where do
have
you go,
safe
Kenny?
travels.
Pella, Iowa. My mom graduated from Central College back in 1939 there, and that makes it even more exciting to go
Oh,
to.
yeah. Take some pictures.
Uh,
Good one.
Before we move into exec, I wanted to share a little bit of information with you, the rest of the council. So we've been working on these trailers, trying to get these abandoned trailers cleaned up that are located across from the Polo grounds. And so I just kind of wanted to bring that to some of the council's attention that I was kind of hoping we would be able to kind of get that area cleaned up before powwow, but I've been emailing back and forth, and it looks like that Big Fire Law hasn't filed a petition commending those, and we're still waiting for those two individuals to be summoned. That's what it looks like, to get that process cleaned up. So I just wanted to kind of update you guys on that.
Those trailers.
Those land leases were canceled.
Yeah, and so kind of bringing this back up to bring a light back onto it, but one of those is being occupied at the time, and so I don't know where the tenants or the people or the person that's moved in there. I don't know their situation or anything like that, but I just wanted to bring that back up because we did have some crimes occur in those trailers that we need to still keep the light on that place over there and get those lots cleaned up. And so if any of you engage in the conversation with Big Fire Law, maybe that's something you might want to bring up as a petition to summons them.
So to like evict them or to like, I don't know what you mean by summons
Yeah,
them.
it's there's several different parts of this that I've collected, and one of those parts is that they reached out. They gave both people that were occupying the trailers. They gave them both notices, 3 notices, 4 notices, by mail, and they haven't gotten any contact back from them. And then so the tribe at the time, from my understanding, and I stand to be corrected maybe, is that we had, because they weren't paying their lot leases on those, we have the right to condemn those lots and get those trailers, those removed off of that property. In the meantime, we have people that are utilizing them in different fashions that aren't real good for a community, and so that's why I'm trying to. Yeah, pretty. They could be considered trespassing because they haven't paid. They haven't paid the rent, so you can't stay there. There's several different issues along with this, but I just wanted to take this time and kind of update the council on this.
So
I think one of the other issues is title. One of the trailers, the one whose name was on the title, that individual passed away. And the one who is in there says that he has to wait till probate. So he wants the council to approve him moving it to wherever his land is. That is also in probate. And I told him to go up to meet with the land management and find out what has to be done. But in the meantime, you know, the tribe hasn't, I guess Big Fire hasn't served or used the court to serve them notice they have so many days to get their trailer out of there or it'll be demolished. So I guess Big Fire law is the next step. The council has to direct the general council.
I have a agenda call with Jennifer on Thursday. Did you want something done before then?
I was trying to see if we could get that cleaned up before powwow.
Oh, before. So how come roads can't just take them out like we've asked them to take other things out?
They can. Just say it'd probably be wise to cover our own by putting that into motion. So, all they're doing is working on that low water crossing right now, and I think they're waiting for some other supplies to come in or something on that one. I mean,
Okay, so let me just get the discussion started. Like, this is what we want to do. We have
Yeah.
to finish that up.
If we go in and forcefully move those trailers out of there,
Microphone.
is there a way we
Yeah,
can,
Kenny, could you use that so everybody?
is there a way we can reach out to them to give them some kind of other settlement on a temporary basis? I agree that, you know, that's just the last needle, that's just the last link into making that whole power ground area look good, is to clear that out. And I think you really have a nice looking facility anyway, but that would help measures. But back to my comment, if we move them out, it's a lot more humane and compassionate to have them to go into something else. Not only to get back into the same predicament in a couple years, but is there some place we can put them?
That's why I keep talking about if we put a field aside to consolidate all of these old trailers, so we can just get them out of our community, because they're just eyesores all over in our community.
Exactly.
And I know on some of these trailers a few years ago we condemned them. I think Tommy Eagle's trailer was one of them. And so I think that should be kind of looked into, because I've been seeing, you know, personnel parked over there, you know, different times of the day, at night, whatever. And so to start shutting those trailers down, and or have them tested to go that route, because, you know, once we test and they pop hot for drugs, and we can close down them houses and help condemn them. Just something, another avenue of approach to keep our community looking good and saving some of our enrolled members some whatever it might be, because like it's been said that there's been some crime taking place at those trailers like that. So just something to be mindful of. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, for that, and Kenny, for the compassion for the tribal members that may be displaced during this process. We do have the men's shelter, and we do have 2 shelters in town that would provide, you know, some.
And are those the kind of people that are in there that could be accommodated?
Well,
by
I
those
don't know
two?
if they'd want to be in there, but they are certainly welcome, and it's available for them. But what's going on out at that trailer? I think there's been a sexual assault out there. I think there's been a variety of like meth.
So it isn't really fulfilling its purpose.
It's become the from what I'm hearing, where folks are all gathering. It's a gathering place, and it's
Yeah.
become really
Yeah,
dangerous for some of the
I know what you
neighbors.
mean by that, and I guess I would be all the more interested in getting rid of them, because not only are you clearing up the area, but you're eliminating a terrible habit for our people. You know, we're enablers if we leave it there for that purpose.
So we've come this far with our land department. They've canceled the lease, and they've tried to work with the families for an extended period of time to get them into compliance. And there's just kind of, I guess, multiple directions where it's not a healthy place for the community and the neighbors out there.
Well, I believe you're a compassionate council, but on the other hand, you have to deal with issues as they come up too. You're not being compassionate if you enable.
We have a tribal elder who's living out there, and it's really close to people that are trying to live a healthy life, do the best they can anyway.
So one of the things, Kenny, just since we're kind of hot on the screen here and everything, there's Edith Lopez's house. She's there, and then on the east side of that is Jeff Pope's old trailer that's been gutted out, and it's just a shell now. And then on the other side of Edith is on the west side.
Danner used to live.
No, there's Steve Redhorn. He used to have that trailer, but it started to fall apart, and all these and changing lifestyles and everything. Whatever goes on, each one of us have a path we choose ourselves, and are responsible for that, of how we live our lives. But there's that one, and then there's Boone Helm's old trailer, and so all those trailers are just making areas for our people that suffer from addiction problems to go and sit around and enjoy those kind of things, so to say. But at the same time, if we can get those cleaned up, that's not gonna fix the problem with self-addiction, but it's also gonna it's gonna be able to clean them lots up and maybe give it another chance for somebody that's got their life together, or that really wants that in their life and wants to fight hard for that. And all they can start out is buying a little trailer and moving it into that lot that's got the utilities there, and then from there maybe they go in and they go into a home buyers and save up and buy themselves a home, you know. So just
You
trying
have
to
me won over on what you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, those are my own relatives too, so I mean, but at the same time, nobody likes to hear the truth sometimes. But so with that not being on the agenda, if the council would be okay with it, I would be willing to make a motion to suspend the rules, to add that agenda, to make a motion to actually have the roads department go over there and take those 2 trailers out of there, or those 3 trailers out of there before powwow.
I would second that.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
So we have a motion by Isaac to suspend the rules, and we have a second by Kenny to suspend the rules. Any discussion? Objection?
I'll take a look at
Oh,
removing all of them. Because trailers have been nothing but a problem. You pay money out, and the trailer burns down. You're losers. You bring dilapidated buildings in to good lots, and we destroy the value of the lot. We're a tribal member that has a good, clean trailer and wants to use it and respect the laws. I want to get rid of as many of those trailers as we possibly can. That we're just enabling a drug problem. I hate to say that, but I have to. Thank you.
thanks, Louis. As everyone was talking, I just typed this email to Jennifer, kind of saying what we want to do, and that if the relatives would have any legal standing, and if we would have to wait for probate. So we have a motion. Any further discussion? Objection? Okay, motion carried 8-0-0. The rules are suspended, and Isaac, the floor is yours to make your next motion.
So the next motion I would make is to have Lanao work with the roads department on seeing about removing those trailers in a timely manner before powwow.
I would second that, Madam Chair.
We have a motion by Isaac, and we have a second by Kenny.
Are you gonna specify which trailers?
There's the Jeff Popes can go. that can be moved out of there immediately. Because he took everything that he wanted out of there, and he's let other people come in and take stuff out of there. So that's just a shell that could be there. There's no strings attached, as far as I would know, on that side, on that particular trailer. That would be located on the east side of Edith Lopez's residence. And then the one far as for Stephen Redhorn's trailer, I'm not sure where that stands with legal, and the one with Boonhelm's old trailer, where that stands with legal either. But we've made motions here before at the table, and directives haven't been followed. So I'm just kind of putting that in there, not trying to say that in a bad way, but just so it's one that gets revisited. We have more than multiple times that we're trying to get something done.
So, is your motion gonna say where they move them to?
To the landfill.
To the landfill?
Yep. So that would be scheduling it with Jackson Landfill and then having them come in and smash them down and haul them out with their side dump.
Okay. So the Pope, Redhorn, and Pretends Eagle trailers,
Yeah.
remove them to the landfill?
The Redhorn and the Boone Helms trailer, those I want to check with legal on those before anything's done. But Jeff Pope's could be pulled out of there, and that lot could be cleaned up.
How about the one that Danny Eagle and Christy Medina used to have?
That's the very end one. That's the one
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Okay.
That's still under in legal obligations, or however you say it, whatever. And then the Red Horn, I don't know if so. That's what Tori's checking with now to see if we're able to go ahead and just do that and get them cleaned up or not.
Okay.
So your motion is to have the CEO work with roads to remove the Pope trailer to the Jackson landfill?
Yeah,
Okay. And who seconded?
Kenny did.
I did.
Okay.
And the Steve's trailer, that one isn't in probate, right? That one's just,
As far as I know, no, it's not. And he's got his letters, I guess. It sounds like that the legal has sent those letters out, or either the land department. So we want to double check on that to make sure that process has been followed.
okay.
Because from what I've gathered, it has been followed, but I just want to verify and clarify and confirm that has been followed before we was to go into those. And those trailers are, that one particular one, the Steve Redhorns, has caught fire in there, and also it's kind of, it would take a lot of money to get it fixed back up, basically. But
How about Christy and Danny's old place? Is that good to go? Or
I
is
don't
it
even
legal?
know how that looks inside there. As far as I know, there's one of their sons is living in there now, and
Okay.
trying to do what he can with what he's got.
Can we clean it up for them at least, if we're not gonna move that?
I don't even know how we would have to go out. What I want to do is want to go out there and visit with him and see what his plan is,
Yeah.
and then check with our legal team and see what the process is and where it's at. And I mean, the same thing is you're not able to pay the lot rent. So if the tribe was to take on the extra cost of moving that trailer, where would we move that trailer to? And then, is he working? Is he able to sustain the utilities being on? You know, I mean, so it kind of opens up a can of worms in such a way. But at the same time, it's something that we need to try to get taken care of anyway.
On Danny and Christie's,
Yeah.
are we treating them different than we're treating the people that are gonna come in for executive session?
No, I don't see why unless you can point it out to me. I don't see how. No.
Is their situation, payment-wise? Christine, huh?
Their lease has been canceled. They haven't addressed it in 3 years. They have no land lease for that trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've had, if you're comparing the bills not being paid on time, I think in one situation we've had 3 years, in another situation we've had, I think maybe 4 or 5 months or something like that. It's in the packet, the information's in there though.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I know the one that's in the executive session is in the packet, but Danny and Christie's situation isn't. I don't know any paperwork on their situation.
Yeah, that's why I made a motion to suspend the rules so that way, because it's not on the agenda, right? It's not an agenda item, so that's why I went that route with it. And again, like I said before, we've done motions here, directives here, and sometimes they take a little bit longer than we're comfortable with for them to follow through with. But at the same time, I think it would be good. It might give the land department a little bit more help with that motion being made. But
Okay.
I know Jeff Popes is ready to be pulled out of there.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, so, we're gonna direct Linnell to work with roads on this, and then who's gonna pay for it? Out of where? I mean, I'm just asking, cause, the only other suggestion would like the junkyard take it, and then pay the tribe for whatever they collect, and then just give it back to roads. I don't know.
I don't know. I guess that's where I'd need your help from. How could we work that out, I guess? What's your thoughts on that, I guess?
You're gonna see. I mean, yeah, we have our department there, but then they have fuel to do
Yeah.
in their vehicle.
And Diesel's
this
gone up
side,
too,
that-
yeah.
everything's
Yep.
gone up, so it's just like, we're directing people to do things, but we're, does this department have the money to do it? So,
That's something Linnell could probably collect the information on.
yeah.
Linnell had a comment, and so I think when Linnell's outreach to the department, we could pose some of those questions to see what a burden would be, and then we can weigh the public health and protection burden versus how much it's going to cost, and really, to know what to know.
But who has the title?
Oh, isn't one?
Because if you're gonna sell it to a junkyard, somebody's gotta have the title.
Yeah, that's if it comes in as a mobile home. But if once you smashed it and it's no longer considered a home, then it can be transported.
You don't need a title to junk, in other words.
Well, Rona said, have it, sell it for junk or whatever.
Yeah.
But they're gonna want a title. That's all I'm saying.
No, if we was to pull it out and smash it there and load it in a side dump, you wouldn't need the title. If we was to take a semi tractor trailer, hook onto it, and drive it to the landfill, then we'd need a title.
Well, who's gonna drive it to the landfill?
That's what we're talking about. When Linnell's
who
going to
has
reach
that
out
kind
to
of money?
roads, and they're going to look at how much it's going to
You
cost.
guys are going in the wrong
Okay.
direction here. We're just trying to get some stuff cleaned up.
So
Holy
Linnell's going
smokes.
Oh,
to
that's good. but
answer
where's
some
the
of these
money gonna come
questions.
from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dusty said that he would. No.
Linnell has a comment.
I think those are all the logistics that we need to work out. But I guess before we do that, can we, the motion is to have me work with the department, can we get confirmation on which trailers are ready to be,
Can you pull up Google Maps, Aaron? Possibly.
I guess, from legal?
So I sent an email to legal, and I put you on there.
Okay,
So
all right.
we'll get some of those questions answered from the email that we sent to legal on how we proceed.
Okay, so once I get confirmation on which ones, that way we don't get confirmation on one, and then in a month we get confirmation on two. I'd rather have all of them together. That way we can act on it.
So see if you can find anything out before the CE report, just to, if we need action or if people want to take further action.
This is located to the west. And then this one here is Steve Bedhorn's trailer. This one here is Edith Lopez's trailer. This one here is Jeff Pope's old trailer. And then it goes Stephen Carnes. And then it goes Irene.
So all four of those?
So these three right here is the ones that, this is the house.
Yeah, that's your.
So it's 1, 2, Miss Edith Lopez's, and then you'll see, once you go out there, you'll see this one. You can see the window frame's been taken out. You can
Yeah.
see. So,
I just want confirmation on which ones are ready to.
so this one right here, Jeff Popes is ready to be moved out of there.
Okay.
That's ready to move. These two, we wanna find out what's going on with legal.
Okay. Okay.
Otherwise, I'll take my own tractor out there and do it, shit.
Sold them.
I know.
We got a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion or comments before we call for the question?
So is that to do or to see if we can do it and what kind of?
Well, the motion is to do it, but we also have this email out there saying do those people have any legal recourse, or can we, based on that canceled lease? Because after that canceled lease, whatever's there is probably the tribes.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. Yeah.
So, but Jennifer's gonna answer that in the email, but I put that out, so we'll all see what she says.
So but his motion says to remove. And the CEO is asking for a legal opinion, so you want your motion to say remove, but then the CEO wants a legal opinion?
She wants to know which ones can be moved out. Isaac's trying to get the directive, so the department will do it. And in the logistics, Linnell will sort out how much it's gonna cost and the time. And Jennifer, before we pull the trigger, Jennifer will tell us, is this a go?
What if I bring an update to Wednesday?
That'd be great. But they're just trying to get the authority to direct roads.
His motion says to remove.
Yeah, because it's so now since and I'm not picking on you, Lorelai, but since we'll break down the motion, the reason why I used remove, because it could be smashed in place and removed. It could be pulled out of there and removed. It could be
Run down.
yeah, torn down and removed, all these different things. So that's why I'm saying that. But my idea would be is roads department could either smash it and take it out in place, or either they could pull it out a little ways and then just load that thing piece by piece into there. There'd be a lot of cleanup and stuff, but it's I don't know. I'm just trying to get these things cleaned up, man, and it's like, holy smokes, like counting bristles on a broom instead of using the broom, you know. So I'm just trying to help it out a little bit, but those are all good questions, and the longer we leave them there, the worse it's gonna get, because people are
We're not
starting. Yeah.
arguing with that, but when you say you're gonna do something, who's paying for it, so we know? You
Yeah.
know, and so we just can't pass a motion unless we know where the funds to do that are coming from.
So my thought behind that was Linnell can check into roads department and see if roads department can take on that cost, and then if that throws them over budget, we'd come in and do a budget mod, or we'd catch up on that on the end of the year. I don't know how that actually works. I try to stay out of Rona's lane, but if she needs help or has any suggestions, I'm open to those. You know.
Well, what I'm saying is your motion says to remove. Do you mean, wouldn't you want it to be the CEO to work with roads and look into? Because your motion says remove, so whether she looks into it or not, you're trying to remove it before we
Okay.
know all
Okay.
those-
I take my motion back then.
I'd be in agreement with this motion, because what we're trying to do is
hold
get.
on, Isaac, or Eric. Isaac, so you're withdrawing your motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so Isaac withdrew his motion. Kenny, do you want to make that motion, or do you withdraw your second?
No, I don't want to withdraw my second.
Okay, well, Isaac withdrew his motion. Do you want to make that motion? I think we're getting caught up in the logistics here. We know what we
Yes.
want to do. Linnell can bring an update, and we can answer all the concerns and see if it's a good move. So would you be willing to make a motion directing Linnell to bring those logistics back for consideration?
Yeah.
Okay. Will you make that motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the way you worded it.
Okay, and Kenny, do you want to stand by that second?
Just the way you worded it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I was just simply going to offer a change to the language in the motion to authorize the administration to take all actions necessary to remove the trailers that need to be removed. Then they can take it and run.
Not ought? No, I'm just kidding, right? So are you guys okay with that? Because Brian, when he uses that language, it just kind of wraps up whatever needs to be done
Yeah.
to get what we know we want done.
Yep, I'm okay with that.
Kenny, are you
Whatever's
okay
gonna
with
get
that?
it done, put it down on paper and we'll get it done.
I'm okay with
Okay, I think
However
we're all
we're
on the
gonna
same
pay
page.
for it, we'll pay for it.
We want to get it done.
Since Rose is out there gonna be doing some work, can they put some speed bumps out there past that bridge? Because people just fly around that, and even law enforcement go out there and monitor that road. It's I just wait for one of those kids to get hit, and it's ridiculous out there. It's
Linnell, will you
it is. Yeah.
reach out to Ron Nord and see if we have any BIA money, because that's a BIA road, there should be some even maybe, yeah, we might have ARPA money to do that.
Ride their bikes up and down that road, walking and.
Doing the road and adding speed bumps out to the Cali Thunderway, I think we removed that from the March
Budget. Okay.
I don't see why we can't look into having it come out of there as well. But that'll be an Alan question that I can answer.
So Linnell was just saying that there was some speed bumps in the budget, and she thinks that they may have been taken out, but we're gonna look at other funding sources, especially on those BIA roads that might be able to use BIA ARP money.
Those speed bumps, the ones that the village put in, the new ones, those are actually how a speed bump's supposed to be, not the jumps that we build around here. Yeah, so go drive over them. I drove over them fast in my truck just to see what they would do, and they rocked my truck. So I was like, that's how they're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Not the shock breakers.
So good.
The shock, I know.
Truck's ready to break apart the way it is.
Good suggestions, council. We will circle back on those speed bumps, and now that it's summertime, a lot more people are cruising, and it's almost summertime. Okay, so do you guys want to take a break before we go into executive
Did we
session?
approve that?
Oh,
Take all
oh no,
actions
we didn't. We
necessary?
didn't. Okay. Call for the question. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. Thank you, Lorelai. Would you like to take a break before we go into executive
Yes,
session?
please.
Okay. So, do we? Would you like to end the live stream? Do you anticipate action? Okay.
How do we get back online?
Well, the individual's here personally, so she's coming in.
Okay. So we're gonna take a 5-minute.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry.
We're gonna motion to go into executive session, and then we're gonna take a break while we transition to executive session. Michelle is here with us, but there's a link that was sent out, so you and Brian can jump on that.
Okay.
And that's for Michelle White will be the first one we talk to. So is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
We have a motion by Eric. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Brian. Discussion. Objection to the motion. Motion carried 8-0-0. We're entering executive session at 11:41 a.m. For those remotely, you'll find the link. And as we transition to the next meeting, please take your break. What's up? Yep, and then we're gonna end the stream after these executive sessions. So thank you for joining us for the regular tribal council meeting, and have a good day.